Hello everybody, welcome to something a little bit different. Today I'm going to be playing a game called Don't Starve and trying out another method of making game audio work. So I'm going to need you to bear with me for just a moment while I pull up the clock and start reading a quick synchronized signal. So let's see, right now we've got 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, start. Okay. And in theory, that should have worked out, and we'll see how that works afterwards. Yeah, let's go ahead and give, some sound synchronizing signals. I'm not sure how I'm gonna synchronize these in the end, but we'll see. In any event, Don't Starve, is a game which isn't a roguelike, but is a roguelike elements game, sort of. Seems like an interesting game to run for my channel, and I figured I would. For those of you who have never heard of it, don't worry, I'll be starting a new game and starting from the ground up, so you'll get to see it all in action. There's definitely elements of the game that are reminiscent of Terraria, and elements of the game that are reminiscent of Minecraft. Elements of the game that are reminiscent of a lot of things. But the key things that I would say that are roguelike-esque about it are, permadeath is totally a thing, somewhat finite resources, somewhat finite, not totally finite. Survival in and of itself is a big deal. The best descriptors of the game that I've heard are that it is a pure survival game. That is the goal, and it is a challenge, and it is designed to be. Let's begin playing new. As you can see, I have multiple records. Let's start a new game, and there are different characters you can play as that have a few pluses and minuses. The game revels in not telling you anything. Truthfully, this game has made me appreciate just how good Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup is for, bucking that trend and saying, no, you don't need a walkthrough or an FAQ. Everything you need about the game you can get... Oh, hang on, let's do that. Everything you need about the game you can get just by playing the game itself. Okay, now we've got the audio. Good, this should be good. Everything you need to know about the game in order to play it, you can learn from the game itself. And any numbers that we're not telling you aren't really that important. This game, on the other hand, I feel like they come down more on the you don't know what this does until you look it up, and once you look it up, it'll only kind of sort of help you. So I would definitely recommend having a wiki helpful. When you start a new world, you can customize various properties for the spawn rates of all manner of different things that appear in that world. I tend to stick with the default. Ooh. Okay, apparently there's more presets that you unlock as you go on that I haven't messed with. I tend to stick with the default, because that's fairest. And then you hit start. And, unsurprisingly, when you hit start, the game starts. Wrangling Wilson's beard and beginning the world, generating a keen sense of despair. Alright, so how does the game work? What I will not be explaining as I play this game is controls, particularly. Apart from telling you that the spacebar is helpful as an auto pickup, I'm not interested in teaching you guys that level of specifics. I more want you to see the gameplay, and if you're interested in the game itself or you have questions, you can ask about it. But as you can see, I am a character in a world. This is my overworld map that, as I explore, I discover more. There are various resources in the world for me to make use of. So here I'm picking up a sapling, I've already picked up a flint, etc. etc, etc, etc. Let's grab some more. As a rule of thumb early on, you want to gather most of what you find. I'm not going to be playing optimally. I've already beaten the sandbox mode once or twice, so I'm satisfied that I can win a game reliably. Grabbing some resources, grass. Early on, grass, twigs, and flint are useful. So, as I'm meandering and gathering, I'll talk a bit about more of the interface stuff here. Oh, that's a bee. Okay, we're good. Here is my stomach. My stomach is the food value that you have at any given time. It steadily decreases over time. As you see, it just went from 216 to 215, 214. And if it eventually hits 0, your health starts to drain very rapidly. Health, of course, can also be drained by getting attacked. If your health hits 0, you die. if your stomach hits 0, you're gonna need to eat immensely quickly because otherwise you will starve soon and your health will hit 0 and you'll die. Then there's your sanity meter. The more insane things you are exposed to, like being alone in a rainstorm at night, the lower this gets. Or being attacked by a hell beast in the dark, or something of that sort. If this hits low values, you start to hallucinate. If this hits the lower values, then nastier things can happen. So, you know, bad news bears, don't want to go there, blah blah blah. Pretty clear right now, all I'm doing is meandering and gathering. I'm not really setting anything down. On the left-hand pane is the crafting menu. Once you have gathered the appropriate resources, you can craft various things. For example, I have collected enough twigs and grass to make a trap, which isn't just a rabbit trap, it traps multiple small creature types. Basic tools, an axe and pickaxe, hatchet, weapons, etc. There's multiple crafting tabs. You'll notice that a lot of these are locked. A lot of these possibilities are locked, and if you read, it'll say use a science machine to build a prototype. You are required to build a science machine to advance to pretty much any higher tier of crafting, and science machines require you to have at least 1 gold nugget, which usually means you need to find an area that has mining supplies before you can even start real crafting. Early game, I tend to look for rabbit hutches. A place like this with grassland and a bunch of rabbits in it is a fair bet for a nice place to set up base camp. Base camp, you know, with all my resources nearby. Ultimately, though, that's what this game comes down to. Explore, get good resources, build better security for yourself so that you can continue to explore more the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the ultimate goal is to find the 5 MacGuffins that are littered throughout... Sorry about that. The ultimate goal is to find the 5 MacGuffins that are littered throughout the world that add up to the Super MacGuffin, and use that to exit this world and enter a new game plus, basically, where you continue to play the game. There is something called Adventure Mode, which others will tell you is the real game, and it is. It's a challenge mode that can only be accessed from Sandbox Mode. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to the game at hand. So as of now, I've done little more than roam and gather, and that's a lot of what you're going to end up doing. Better players would focus more on exploring a larger amount of territory. I'm not playing super well, I'm just having a good time with this. As the clock here at the top right indicates, it is becoming closer to nightfall. When nightfall falls, the land is engulfed in darkness, and without a source of light, well, you won't be able to see anything for one, but more importantly, you will be attacked by a grue in the dark. And of course, it's a grue, so you don't ever see it because it's in the dark, because it's a grue. So I am going to quickly gather up resources so that I can build a campfire. It's easier to survive the night with a nice campfire than with a torch. Though I might end up just doing a torch for my first night, we'll see. And until the very last minute, I am going to continue exploring, and yeah, because I'm not exactly settled for the night anywhere that I want to get back to base camp for the night. Notice that my axe has a percentage on it. Most equipable items in this game have a deterioration associated with them. They can't be stacked like these, and as you use them, the percent goes down and down until eventually it just disappears. So you don't really construct the super axe of awesome forever and expect to use it forever. You construct the super axe of awesome until it breaks. And there isn't really, for that reason, a super axe of awesome. There's just 1 or 2 tiers of equipment. That's it. Okay, I am getting pretty close to the nightfall level of darkness here, and I feel like I'd rather explore more, since I don't have a campfire or a base for the night. 2 torches should be enough to survive me for the night, so I'm going to stick a torch in my inventory so that I can carry that with me. It's also saving on wood for when I do eventually build a real fire. But you know, standard play would have been to build a fire. Alrighty, and the tree is down. Yay! Let's grab all this stuff. You'll notice that as trees break, I get acorns. You can totally replant these trees, and oh, darkness falls. And I'm going to quickly equip my torch, and even though the brightness settings on my computer make it so I can barely see, I can hit tab and take a look at the mini-map to see what is around me every now and then. It's an excuse to get a little bit more searching it. You'll notice this whole time my stomach has been deteriorating, my hunger value has been deteriorating, as has my health. Well, not my health, my sanity. Being alone in the dark without the warmth and safety of a campsite has a very deleterious effect on one's sanity. I tend to like to follow the roads when I'm doing my early exploration. At least on the default settings, I can't speak to some of the more custom maps. It tends to give a fairly good initial glance to the different biomes or land types that are available. And, ooh, there's a gravestone down there. And remember, my initial goals are to find a nice set of game trails for rabbits typically, so that I can lay down several rabbit traps for food, as well as to get gold so that I can get my science machine up and start doing higher level crafting. To that end, I am currently looking for a minefield. Not a minefield, a quarry. A place where I can do mining. Okay, my torch just burnt out, so I lit this tree on fire to give me some light. Now my torch is out completely, but by the time it becomes relevant, these trees should be done and it should be morning. So I just survived the whole night on one torch, which is pretty nice compared to using a campfire. Also, cutting down a tree that has burnt up gives you charcoal, which is totally useful as a resource. What else? Num 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 num. Alright, I think that should about do it. I have 15 petals. That's enough to craft a garland, which raises your sanity over time. But again, notice, I don't know how clear it is for you guys who are watching the recording, but you'll notice these berries are in green, right? And then there's a gap. As time goes on, perishable items, food, seeds, petals, perish, and eventually turn into rot. So there's kind of a time pressure, though not an urgency, to use them. Ooh, this is one of the game-winning items. This is one of the MacGuffins I talked about, the box thing. They're all called thingies, if I recall correctly. Anyway, continuing along the path, I'm just going to eat something in my inventory to pad out my 50% depleted stomach. There's absolutely no penalty of being near starving or anything in this game. It's only, you know, it's there to put a constant pressure on you to explore well. Rocks are going to be a resource that I definitely want a few of. This right here, the fire pit, is your first real investment for a base camp, but also a science machine requires rocks, so just collecting these spare rocks could be enough that I can forestall needing to find a quarry if I get enough. Ooh, a plugged sinkhole. Some mineable point that allows you to get underground later. Okay, I now have enough for my first fire pit, and soon enough I'll have enough for that as well as my first science machine. But I also haven't found an area that I want to call base camp. That's a very small grassland. I'm looking for something a bit bigger than that. Let us continue walking. I anticipate that this run, just so you guys have a sense of the time, a day-night cycle in this game. Ooh, pigs. Pigs can totally be your friends in this game. They don't hate you. You can give them food, which either will make them crap or make them follow you, depending on if it's meat or not. And it's the Pig King. I, never get him in my games. We'll come back to this later, but suffice it to say this Pig King is going to be enough that I'm going to want my main city to be near this pig settlement, so that I can make use of them for whatever my purposes are. Okay, totally lost my train of thought. But yeah, I will explain more about this game as I go on. I anticipate that at 8 minutes a day, it might take 100 days for me to win, it might take 200 days for me to win, but that sounds about right. So, you know, math on how many vids it'll end up as. And as the days go, as things become relevant, I'll explain more about my strategy and how it's played. But yeah, so far, wandering the world and all's well. The game becomes harder the longer you go. So, there is that. Clearly, I am within a very deep, dark forest. Forests are home to nocturnal creatures that can attack you, most notably the spider pits, and I don't want to deal with spiders right about now. I'm going to, instead of following the path back up, double up on my exploration by going northeast through the forest. Even if I don't want to fight spiders right away, I would never say no to trying to identify where they are for the future, because spider webs are a very important resource sometime around the week 1 or 2. Okay, heading due north at this point. Clearly can't see the forest for the trees, all I can see is the trees. Hunger status is at 130, that's reasonable. Let's go ahead and eat these seeds. Seeds are actually quite a good source of nutrition. Okay, I still haven't found a place I want to call home. I wouldn't mind calling this pig habitation second home, but my first home, again, should really be a place where I can make my own food regularly. And I don't get that in a place like this. I want rabbits. So we're going to head due north, and I think we're going to pull the torch trick again, though it might take 2 torches to get through the night, just so I can maximize the amount I get to explore early on. I've hit a hard border with this river. Ooh, picking up flowers gives you 5 sanity a flower, so it's a way to raise my sanity quickly. All of these beehives are actually quite well positioned too. When eventually I decide to make my own honey, I'll know where to go to harvest beehive parts. Okay, the gnome and the spear. These are really good items to have picked up. A spear is a great weapon. In fact, you can fight pretty much everything in the game with just a spear and be okay. The gnome can be probably traded to the Pig King for gold. I am tempted to make to return to the Pig King, trade in the gnome, get some gold, and use it for my first science machine so that I can get a shovel. The reason I'm not doing it is because I don't feel like it. It's a return trip that's going to set me back time-wise. Unlike Dungeon Crawl, there is a lot less pressure to play perfectly or even super correctly in this game. There are a few things you need to know how to do, and learning to create the means to resurrect yourself should you die, or and how and when you should space that out. It's kind of important. But once you get past those basic things, you can really wing it for most of the game. Personally, I didn't use an FAQ for the most part for my first win or second win. Okay, my thing just froze. I hope that doesn't lag out my connection video eventually. Wormholes will instantly teleport you to somewhere else on the map at the cost of sanity. When trying to do my early game exploration, it's almost a given that I'm going to use every wormhole just to see where it is. This is a very good distance to connect to, and this looks like a great place to set up my first home. I could be wrong. I'm going to span it out to see what I'm seeing here, but I'm seeing lots of grass, which is a great initial sign. I'm seeing a few of these big rocks. With any luck, there'll be some with gold-containing rocks look decidedly different. Oops, it's almost nighttime. Where's that torch? Okay. I've seen quite a few rabbit hutches here as well, so this could prove to be a good grassland to make my home. It's right next to a wormhole that can get me back to Pig King territory. That's also nice. And I can always make my second home somewhere else if necessary. Huh. Okay, maybe it's not as big as I had hoped for a grassland. I definitely can't see very well in the night. I almost want to change the brightness settings on my computer, but I'm sure it's intentional. This game does a great job with dithering light as you approach the end of the circle to add a real air of creepiness, and when you throw insanity effects, this game produces really good atmosphere in my opinion. You know, for its genre. Okay, this is a hard wall. So maybe this is a much smaller grassland, but my impression is that it's a circular grassland with a central forest. Torch is going to go out in a few seconds, so I need to be prepared to build another quickly before the Gru comes in between. Yeah, I think I'm going to set up my home on this grassland the moment I have the gold to do so. There's enough rabbit holes. Oh, torch is going to go out in 5, 4, 2, 1. New torch. And daybreak. And daybreak. I just got mad and killed a bee. Naturally, they sent the whole horde after me. Okay. New plan, everybody. Ready for this? I'm gonna go grab their honey. Hopefully only one of them has aggroed me at this point. Eat the honey. Get some health back. Or get some hunger. This is an animal track. If you follow the way the animal tracks lead, they will eventually lead you to the animal in question, which has a lot of meat value to it. I'm going to use this animal tracking as an excuse to explore the territory. Unfortunately, I'm having a hard time seeing the next footprint. Okay, game saved. Ow! Lightning bolt. You know what? This is a massive grassland with a central forest. This is where I'm setting up my next home. I'll try and pick the exact spot shortly, but one way or the other, this is where I'm going to live for the early part of the game. My sanity is down almost 50 full points, and these petals are deteriorating, so I'm going to go ahead and create that garland now, which should either stabilize or increase my sanity, depending on how big a negative drain the rain is. There's the second footprint that I nearly missed. With any luck, while tracking this animal, I'll A, find the animal and have a nice, long-lasting source of food. B, find other resources of value on the way. And it's always the same animal, which I will show you when I get there, assuming I find him. Also, we're going to ditch the gnome at this point, because it's taking up a valuable space in my inventory that I don't need occupied by a gnome. It's only worth a bunch of gold if I take it to the Pig King, and I'm so far away from the Pig King right now, I'm more likely to find actual gold. Wow, I have a lot of grass. It's actually very easy to see these footprints on the bright yellow of a grassland. It's another reason I like the grass biome. It's easy to see in. Okay, there's so many rabbits here. I'm just going to make a bunch of rabbit traps real quick. It's burning through a few of my twigs and a lot of my grass, but as I just noted, I have way too much grass as it is. That should free up a grass lot, and with any luck when I come back, there will be some rabbits who have been caught. Okay, the toes are pointing northwest. There's the next track. Ooh, manure. It's a beefalo! Okay, beefalo herds are awesome. They drop manure, which is great for farming of various sorts, and actually I think it's required for the production of a farm. They also can be killed for meat, and the herds will replenish every season or so. Not the whole herd, mind you, just 1 or 2 new children. There's the animal I'm tracking, the koalaphant. It will always run away from you, and it will almost always succeed in running away, so you need to chase it to the corner of a map before you can hit it. If you hit it once, though, it will start attacking you. I don't have armor, which could make attacking it rather dangerous. But that's relative. I'm pretty damn good at kiting, so I should be okay. The trick is going to be getting it to the map's corner, but I think I can pull it off. Also, remember, I'm all about exploring right now, so I have no problem chasing it to the ends of the earth. It's not like it's taking me out of my way or anything. This is exactly where I want to go. Somewhere new. And at this point, it is getting pretty close to trap. These beefalo can become aggressive very quickly if they feel threatened or if you attack them. So, which I guess would be the same as them feeling threatened. Okay, I want you to go straight down. No, not right or left. I want you to go straight down. Damn it! Should have attacked. I don't know why it didn't attack. You'll notice they have caught some rabbits already. Let's try pin him from this direction. Gotcha. Now he's gonna try and hunt me down. He gets... So here's how you do it. You let him swing, then you attack him. I wouldn't have attempted this without a spear, but since I picked up that stray spear, it's gonna work just fine. Smack, smack, smack. Got him. He drops the Qualiphant Trunk, which is a very valuable crafting tool, and a bunch of meat. I'm gonna ditch the torch and pick up all of the meat. This is a massive treasure trove of meat, by the way. I can fill up fully on what I've just picked up. It's also useful in a lot of recipes. But really, right now, my goal is... I'm even gonna forget the rabbit traps I dropped, because I have enough meat that carrying rabbit meat will just rot by the time I end up getting around to using it. I will continue grabbing dung, though. Dung is going to be useful, and I'm not going to come south for the beefalo. I think my first home is going to have to be on the plains here, where the grass is thickest, and north of the beefalo herds, but easily within walking distance of more beefalo manure. I still haven't acquired gold, which is unfortunate, because by day 3 or 4 you really should have. That said, I can't blame the game. They gave me every opportunity. They gave me the gnome and the pig king, so I could have pulled it off if I had cared. Oh, please have dropped gold. Skeleton. No, all he has is a pickaxe. Shoot. Well, I guess I can make use of the pickaxe at least. That is something. We're gonna ditch... No, we're gonna eat the remainder of these petals. They're each worth like 1 nutrition, so that's something. Naturally, the spear, the pickaxe cracked before it finished, and I'm not... These ordinary boulders just give you rocks and flint. That's not to say they're not valuable, but I'd rather keep the ones near my campsite for later, when I'm in a rush or an emergency and I can't get them otherwise, and find a real mining site first. So for now, this is where we're going to throw up base camp, on a road, between a few boulders, and near enough to... a bunch of rabbit hutches. 1, 2, 3 rabbit hutches. This is a good spot. So we're going to build a fire pit here. I said we're going to build the fire pit here. Fire pits is great because 1, you can cook meat on top of them. And I mean any kind of meat, not just meat. And of course, look at my health or my hunger fly up. 95, 120. Practically 3 days with no food and I'm at full health. Second, unlike when I build torches and I have to use like kindling and grass and other resources, a fire you just drop anything that counts as fuel, for example charcoal, and it flares up nice and good. And when the fire has gone out, you can still do the same. So this is the first markation of my territory being here. Next, I'm going to go ahead and make a whole bunch of rabbit traps. I can't see the rabbit hutches in the dark. And I dropped my torch somewhere south of here. Let's go ahead and pre-manufacture a bunch of these. I'm going to drop this stack of grass just to free up some inventory space, and oh, for God's sake, equip the spear, boy. We're gonna drop the game-winning item by my fire pit. It'll, much like in Crawl, these things tend to remain in place unless something burns them or destroys them. And enemies tend to not really do a whole lot of off-screen destruction, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Though eventually I like building treasure chests to store them more securely. I like building an excess of rabbit traps because it costs only renewable resources like grass and twigs, and these are pretty basic resources. Also, the rabbit stays inside them arbitrarily long, so you have a ready source of extra non-spoiling meat for when you do get hungry eventually. Of course, now I'm running fairly low on my twig supply as well. First order of business once I get the science machine up is going to be transporting as many twigs as I can to this base. So, let's review. It is the beginning of day 4. I have explored a reasonable poke of the world on this side. I have located the Pig King, which is going to be great for getting gold long term. I found a wormhole to connect these two areas. I found an amazing place for a first base with beefalo to the south, which is a great renewable source of manure and eventual source of meat and warm clothing. I have yet to find a mine to pick up gold. All in all, can't complain. So far, it's been a great start. Alright, I am going to cut the vid here. I will see you guys next time.